Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the MLG studios here in New York City. You're currently watching WCS America Round of 16. It's getting a little bit darker outside, but these guys are playing as fierce as can be. We have Alicia versus Sen. They're tied 1-1. I'm going to ask if they're ready, and it appears they are.
Sen with a great late game tech switch in game number 2. They really got Alicia off guard. I mean, and that's the last thing to be caught off guard by is by Broodlords, which of course the best counter to them is those Tempests, which it takes several minutes to get Tempest into play. And so you really need to scout that as the Greater Spire is transforming. Of course, here in the third game, it's going to be on Cloud Kingdom.
Yes, Cloud Kingdom. A very map filled with history. Of course, it made its introduction, it made its debut onto the scene after Super OU Man made it for the Team Liquid map contest in Wings of Liberty. Of course, speaking of which, there is currently a map contest going on right now in Heart of the Swarm on Team Liquid, so definitely check that out. But here we are in game number 3. In the bottom left-hand location, we have the red Protoss player, hailing from Korea, was victorious in Game 1, but falling in Game 2. Can he convert to victory in Game 3? Representing Team Axiom, he is Alicia. And his opponent in the top right-hand location, he is your blue Zerg player, one of the few non-Koreans in this tournament. Hailing from Taiwan and representing Team Gamma Bears, he is Sen. So, Cloud Kingdom, Mr. Nick. How do you expect these strategies to change, or what are these guys going to try to take advantage of?
I really don't see Sen going for that fast Ultras play here on Cloud Kingdom. Of course, one of the reasons why Ultras are a little bit weaker in Cloud Kingdom is that a lot of battles happen on these ramps here, and it's hard to stuff a bunch of Ultras up a ramp, and it's even harder to get the Queens in behind him to support them with the transfusion. So if the Protoss player is very careful, even trying to come down a ramp with Ultras attacking the Protoss fourth is very difficult to do. So it's much more likely Sen will go for the 3 base before Lair Tech style, and then knowing Sen, he's probably going to try to make a lot of Roaches and Hydrodus, and if he senses weakness, deny his opponent's 3rd base. If he feels his opponent is going to have a strong defense, transition to Hive Tech to add into Viper support.
Sen able to get away with a 15 hatch once again. Watching that probe, making sure no shenaniganry is going to be occurring from Alicia. And the pool going down at around 17. So squeezing in a few drones as well before getting down that pool, really focusing on getting that economy up and running. Meanwhile, his opponent went for that gateway expand, went for the gateway opening, which Sen is just now identifying. So look out for Sen to build that gas, build at least 1 gas fairly soon, so he can get those speedlings out again. It's something you kind of want to do when you realize your opponent is opening with that gateway, realizing that, you know, they could probably do some aggression that you need to be prepared for.
In fact, there goes that extract. Of course, if your opponent does something like the Nano expand, or in fact the build we've seen Alicia do, you could go ahead and get the 3rd base before Zerging speed. But it's kind of a risk, right? And if your opponent follows up with, aggressive 4-gate play, it's much more difficult to deny pylons without Zerging speed. And your opponent can make that 4-gate hit much faster when they already have Warp Gate on the way, pretty much as they start their Nexus.
What I'm going to look out for here, at least from Sen, is seeing if he can identify whatever proxy pylon decides to exist from Alicia, because that's something he hasn't necessarily been able to do in the first 2 games, and it's been giving him some struggles. Of course, it might have straight up caused his loss in Game 1, barely prevented his hatchery from dying in Game 2, and there are some nooks and crannies on Cloud Kingdom where a Ninja Probe can hide those pylons. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on if Sen can identify that potential forward pylon from his opponent.
Alicia's done such a great job in the first 2 games of hiding that pylon.
Yes.
And yet again, the probe at the top left, Sen sees 2 more gateways being built. When he gets into main and sees the gases with 6 probes on it, he's probably going to suspect a similar build to the ones Alicia's been doing, where he gets 3 gates, a little bit of pressure, and of course Stargate behind a 3-gate play, and then a 3rd base.
Looks like Sen is doing something very similar to last game as far as delaying that 3rd base, getting those initial 2 gases, and keeping guys on gas beyond that metabolic boost speed upgrade. Now, we'll have to see if he adds on the spines. Well, there we go. As I say that, adding on that spine in the front. Something that kind of bewildered you a little bit.
It did. You know, it's kind of a sign that Sen's not confident in spotting early pylons. The fact that he's like, okay, I'm just going to give up and say I'm not going to rely on the 9-yard early pylons. I'm going to make sure that I'll be safe even if he gets those pylons up. And that's, you know, that's actually works well for him so far because he hasn't taken critical damage to those pylons. Of course, a lot of Zerg players say, you know what? I'll just get almost no defense, and it's okay because my opponent can't attack me without proxy pylons. And not us be super diligent in denying them, saying, you know what, forget it. It's too crazy. Those probes can be absolutely anywhere. Let's make sure my defense is basically strong enough I can afford to let those proxy zealots be warped in.
Double evolution chamber being placed down right now. Zealots starting to be warped in at that top left-hand location. We have an Overlord coming in here from Sen. He is going to be able to spot that Stargate play. A nice little scout there. But can he identify this pylon in the top left and all the zealots that are making their way towards that third base? Because if he doesn't start making those lings soon, I'm a little bit scared for the life of that hatchery.
That hatchery could easily go down. Right now he's building Spore Crawlers to defend. He's getting 1-1 upgrades.
Just now sees the zealots.
Okay. I think he is still going to be very, very tight on the defense. Of course, the speedlings are just coming out now. There's no +1 for the zealots quite yet. But by the time the speedlings get to the third base, this hatchery may be half-life or even less.
Yeah, this is looking very dangerous indeed here for Sen. The zealots wailing away the hatchery. That's definitely going to go down. Might even cancel it. Yep, there's the cancel onto the hatchery. Meanwhile, just sending the speedlings across the map, this could be a good decision. I mean, he has that spine crawler back home. Perhaps that's why he made it, so he can have that added reinforcement potential, spotting that there's no third base and immediately backing up to deal with these zealots.
A smart move by Sen. A great warping at home to defend against that counterattack by Alicia.
Yeah. Spine crawler goes down, though.
Sen should hold this off. In fact, actually trading pretty efficiently against those zealots, but Alicia's got to be happy. He's denied his opponent's expansion, and he has a nice tech upgrading air weapons, going for the Void Rays. We saw actually a game play out similarly in map 1 on Whirlwind, where Alicia was able to kill his opponent's third base, although it was a little bit later using Void Rays. But it's still a similar situation. The difference is, this game, instead of getting all the roaches are in, Sen's actually getting upgraded Zerglings.
Yes.
And 2-base versus 2-base, or if your third base is basically similar in time to the Protoss third base, as a Zerg player, you really do not want to be stuck on Roach Hydra. So the fact he's going to upgrade Zerglings puts him in a much better position this game than he was in game number 1.
Could even throw it on a Hydra Den and start Hydra production fairly soon. It's a little bit easier to get more Hydras out if you have more gas, since you're spending all of your resources on exclusively mineral-based units like Lings and Queens. And something else that's going to be important is Sen needs to connect his natural to his third base as fast as he can so he can get those Queens reinforced, adding on 2 Queens in that production time, setting the link straight for this third base, and this might be able to cancel it.
I think well, you know what, there's a lot of Sentry energy.
Yeah.
Alicia may not want to use the force fields quite yet, though.
Oh, there's the cancel.
And you know what, the Sentries are being exposed now. He's going to lose 1 Sentry.
That's a lot of force
He's going to lose 2 Sentries.
Remember, 1-1 is done on these Lings. The Sentries all end up falling. The Zealots a little bit vulnerable as well. Meanwhile, the third has been killed by the 2 Void Rays and the Mothership Core. 2 more Stargates added on, and Sen remaking his third base for the second time. Or the third time, even.
I think Alicia, you know, both players have to be happy.
You think so?
Alicia killed, in a way, right?
In
Alicia killed
either
his
both happy or
opponent's
both
third
sad.
base. Yeah. they both killed each other's third base.
Yeah.
And so that makes them both happy. Alicia could be happy because he has nice tech with his Stargate units out, but Sen could say, you know what, I killed all my opponent's sentries, which means it's going to be very hard for him to actually get this third ever set up without having no sentries.
And again, the upgrades are still going on these Lings. As this game goes forward, these Lings are going to get more and more powerful, especially considering the tech that Alicia is electing to go for. Nothing that's particularly good against the mass speedlings. No Storm just yet, no Colossi, none of that AoE that is so important with dealing with that type of play. Oh, this is...
Oh, the Voiders have juked the Queens. There's a recall available. They could hit the main.
This is dangerous. The Mothership Core is very low in health, though.
He's got to keep Demolition Core alive. Although, actually, there's nothing to run down to Void Rays, so...
Just Spore Crawler here.
Gonna pick off a few drones. This is a really cool hit squad. The 3 Void Ray Mothership Core hit squad. It can snipe hatcheries.
Especially on this base, too. Or this map, sorry.
Really beautiful. I mean, this is what he used on Whirlwind as well. And 3 Void Rays is a number you can power down a Spore very quickly before he takes significant damage.
Sen, once again, sending these Lings to that third base. That's going to be canceled. Again, I don't know how he deals with all these Lings. I really don't. Unless he makes a bunch of Zealots and just has perfect force fields, or gets perfect SimCity.
I mean, but he can't really spend gas on ground units because he wants to really do the mass Void Rays.
Yeah.
And only 4 gases, He's basically spending his entire gas on this air, pretty much air composition. Great force fields actually defend a few sentries he has. Very important to keep those alive. He cannot afford to lose sentries again.
2-2 just now finished on the Lings with Hive about to finish, so he's starting out +1 missile. So this tells me he
For
might
the Queens.
Yeah, for the Queens. Might even add a Hydra. Yep, there's the Hydra Den. So, he's definitely identified the mass Void Ray strat from his opponent, and now it comes down to preparing and preserving his bases. He's able to continually deny this third base from Alicia. Now it's up to Sen to keep his additional bases alive.
Sen really wants to probably get a Hydra to squad out and then also maybe support it with a few Vipers. Vipers are great against Void Ray, using the Abducts to pull them beyond where they're defended by the force field usage of Alicia.
Great point, but Alicia is out for blood, heading straight for the fourth base, straight for the third base. Nothing but units in production here from Sen. A great decision from him. But that's so many Void Rays. How many Queens? 9 Queens on the map, and that might be what saves Sen's life here, but it's still going to be very difficult.
Sen building Spine Crawlers. Sen does have 2/2 Zerglings, no upgrades on the gateway units, but Zealous and Force Fields. I think that's perfectly the right call. He doesn't need to really have 3 bases. He just needs to have a better army. It's army versus army. Sen has better upgrades. He actually has the potential to have a superior competition if he can have the time to add in those Hydras and add in the Vipers. He has so much money. He's been supply blocked for too long, though, losing so many Overlords to those Void Rays.
All right, Alicia going to head straight for the natural expansion. Still wants to get damage done. Queens need to be transfusing each other right away. Alicia trying to power through to this natural expansion. Again, these Void Rays have that +1 upgrade. And look at the ridiculous amount of damage that Alicia is able to do. Such a formidable army composition. Sen forced back into his natural expansion, running out of real estate, desperately trying to add more and more units onto the field, but he just can't come up with an answer.
He has so much money backed up, he doesn't know what to spend it on. Of course, Hydras aren't actually that great against Void Rays and Gateway units. You really need the Vipers, this number of Void Rays, but he also needs something to finish him off. Mass Warcallers, Mass Queens. It's too late now as the Void Rays are in the natural and they're just absolutely melting everything Sen throws at him.
Wow, Alicia showing the power of the Void Ray in this series. Sen desperately trying to hold on. Look at his bank, 1,302K in the bank, minerals and gas. But Sen forced to GG, and Alicia takes game number 3. He'll be advancing on to the winner's match to play Snoot. What a well-played series there from Alicia, especially that third game.
A really, really cool build there, saying, you know what, I'm just going to keep making Void Rays. If you keep denying my third base, I use the Void Rays to counterattack and constantly kill your third bases. And then I think Sen was planning to go for the Ultradis Queen combination.
Right.
Then when he saw his opponent Mass Void Rays, he's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And he just
what do you do? What's the answer, Nick?
I think, Mass Spores, Queens, and Vipers is exceptional. Or, of course, you can replace the Spores with Hydralis. That's a little more expensive, and Hydralis are more vulnerable to Force Fields, the range of Spores, or the Life, or the DPS. But, of course, they're a little more mobile. But the key thing is you just have to get a bunch of units out, and then to counter the Force Fields, use the Vipers. So you really need those 2 things in conjunction to deal with that quantity of Void Rays.
A great play there from Alicia, taking out Sen 2, and again, he's going to be advancing to the winner's match to play against Snoot. It's going to be Alicia versus Snoot. That's going to be absolutely fantastic and a treat to watch. Of course, guys, you're watching WCS America, the round of 16 live here in studio in New York City. When we come back, we're going to have an interview with our winner and, of course, analysis of that match.